My world has changed dramatically in every facet of my world. Hey guys, it's me, Helena, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to share with you 2 inspiring mindsets, tweaks, and habits that I've implemented in my life over the many years that have really dramatically changed my outlook on life, how I see the world, and overall just made me a way happier person. If you don't already know, I am Helena and I am a published author of the book Slow Living. I'm a podcaster of the podcast Cosmic Compass, and I'm a full-time astrocartographer and locational astrologer, helping people create magical lives in places they love. If you haven't already subscribed, definitely hit that notification bell down below and head over to my Instagram at Ms. Helena Woods so that you can get daily inspiration and just more joy added to your everyday life. The first thing that really had a profound impact on my life is number 1, notice the simple joys. And I talk all about this in my book, Slow Living, which you can get down below in the description if you'd like to read it. It's a beautiful hardcover coffee table book. And when I started to actively note the beautiful, simple, daily humdrum things in my life, the ordinary blessings, the ordinary beauties, when I started to notice them more, my world shifted. I started to see life through this more optimistic, hopeful lens of seeing beauty and knowing that beauty was always there and knowing that there was always magic to be seen. I started doing this because I was going through a really hard time in my early 20s. My dad had passed suddenly. I went through a lot of grief. I felt like my world was ending. For all of you astrology nerds out there, I was in a balsamic lunar progression. It was just this sense of my identity was completely shifting and I was letting go of so much in my life, and it felt like grief. There was a lot in my life that I was really having a hard time with. Money, survival, my dad, my relationship to family. The thing that really helped me get out of that and shift and move through it and transform that energy from a state of grief and sadness into a more hopeful lens, and also just made me more of an optimistic person, was seeing the beauty in the everyday, noticing when the sun would peek out behind a cloud, noticing when there was a beautiful flower growing from the concrete on the sidewalk, noticing that little bird perched on the branch, noticing that beautiful sight of a couple kissing on the park bench, or noticing the sight of something beautiful that was happening, a dog running in Central Park, or something that was around me. Being present and observing the simple joys and relishing in them, marveling at the small things. And it doesn't mean that you have to actively point out like, oh, there it is, or there it is. It's just a silent recognition of what is. And by noticing the simple joys in your life, the small things, and the thing about noticing the simple joys in your everyday life and just taking note of them is, 1, it'll inspire you to be more present, and it'll inspire you to observe more rather than react. So then rather than living in this reactive emotional state, you're living in present awareness, an observation of what is, noticing thoughts, noticing emotions, noticing the weather, noticing the state of beingness, as opposed to being in the emotional reactivity of the body. Instead of being a reactional being, you are a present being, living in total observation of the mind, the thoughts, the emotions, and life itself. Noticing the simple joys will give you presence, which presence and mindfulness is one of the biggest things that can just open up your awareness in your life. Be demure, be mindful, as we know. And the second thing that noticing the simple joys will do and will help you with is it'll inspire you and help you be more appreciative, living in a state of gratitude or living in a state of appreciation of the present moment. The more appreciative you are, the more hopeful, optimistic, and joyful you'll be. And in life, I really believe the secret to life in terms of happiness is appreciation of what is. Appreciation for life itself. The small things, the big things, everything. Even if you're going through a really hard time in life and you're experiencing a lot of challenge and strife and struggle, there's always a lesson to be gained. There's always knowledge to be learned. There's always somewhere to grow in your life. Are you a growth-seeking person on a journey, on a cosmic quest to understand and elevate your life? Or are you someone who is constantly being a victim of your own life through your mindset and your ideas and regurgitating, repeating those cycles, those patterns of ideas and thoughts? Or are you going to choose and live life deliberately as opposed to living life by default? It's way easier in life to live life by default. It is way easier to live life complaining, being sad, noticing all the things that are going wrong, and just to live in a state of sulkiness. It's way easier to live like that. But there's a much more joyful way to live, and that is by living life deliberately, choosing to notice the simple joys and actively choose appreciation and growth. What is the lesson to be had? What is the lesson to be learned? What is the experience to be had? How will that experience or lesson or struggle or challenge make me a stronger, more resilient human? Seeing life through this lens of possibility, potential, expansion, and growth, that is such a more happier and more wonderful, I think, way to live life. And you always have a choice in every moment. Do you choose to live life by default or deliberate? Number 2, the second mindset and habit that has made me a happier person and just changed my life profoundly is flip it and reverse it. That Missy Elliott lyric, flip it and reverse it. Whenever I notice a insecure thought, a fearful thought, a scarcity thought come into my mind, and I start to go down this spiral, I flip it and reverse it. I ask myself, is this true? Is this thought, is this idea that I have about myself, about life, about this person, is it true? Do I have any evidentiary support that backs up this idea, this thought, this claim that I have in my head about this? Is this true? Is it true? If there is no evidence, if there is no actual tangible proof that this is a real and true thing, what would it be like if I flipped it? How would I feel if I believed the opposite of that thought, that limiting belief? And what would change in my life if I flipped that idea and believed the opposite? What would that open up within me in my own life? How would I see the world? How would I take action? Would it change how I see life and my actions that I take every day if I flipped the thought and reversed it? This idea of flipping a thought and asking yourself, is this true? I learned this from Byron Katie's book, Accepting What Is. I read it back in 2018, really profoundly changed how I saw life, and I now do this automatically. And this is what I want you to do, and I want to challenge you to do this today, okay? And I want you to start doing this. I want you to write this in your journal and do this from now on. Try it for me. Just as an experiment, just as a little chance to play and experiment with this new way of thinking. Anytime you notice that you start having a negative, fearful thought about yourself, a limiting belief about yourself, an insecurity comes up, whenever you start to notice that, I want you to flip it and reverse it. I want you to automatically ask yourself, is this true? Is this thought true? No, actually it's not true. Actually, that thought is not true. Actually, I have evidentiary support that shows that no, that's not true, because I've done this before, and I've been able to do this before. I've been able to have this success in my life. I've been able to believe in this about myself. I've had friends tell me this about myself. And the thing about thoughts is you can change your thoughts. You can change your ideas. You can change how you see life. And the amazing thing about being human is that you can change everything about your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs. You have the power to choose that. You don't have a lot of power in choosing the circumstances. You don't have a lot of power in choosing what happens in the world, politics, the environment. You don't have a lot of choice, actually, in what is going on around you. But you do have control over your thoughts and your beliefs about yourself. And the magical thing about being human is that you can change all that. The thing that really made me be a more confident person is I've asked myself, is this true? I've asked myself that so many times that now my brain automatically asks it back to me every time I have a limiting, fearful, insecure thought about myself. My brain automatically says, is that true, Helena? Is that true? Is this true? What evidence do you have that supports that? And what evidence do you have that supports the opposite of that idea that you have about yourself? And then I realize, oh, that's just fear. That's just the mind. It's not awareness, it's not presence. It's not anything that is connected to the soul. It's connected to something that is fear-based and egoic. But that's not me, and that's not you either. And so I want to challenge you by, one, noticing the simple joys of your life and start getting in a habit of noticing the beautiful, simple appreciations in your world every day. And two, flip it and reverse it. When a negative thought that you have about yourself or someone else or your situation currently, whenever you have a negative thought that comes in, a fear-based thought, I want you to ask yourself, is this true? Is that thought true? Flip it and reverse it. And put on the Missy Elliott song and sing it. Anytime I have a negative idea, thought about myself, I'm like, one, is this true? And then sometimes if I'm feeling playful, I'll be like, flip it and reverse it. And I'll do like a little dance. And like, it just gets me out of that energy. It's like, let's get that thought out of here. Let's shimmy it away, right? I want a little bit of a bonus tip here. You can write down in your journal your beliefs that you have and flip it and reverse it. Tell yourself a new belief or a new story, the opposite of that belief. And then write, if this new belief were true, how would I approach life? How would I live my life? How would I take action? What would change in my life and my reality if I started living and thinking and being in this other state? If I started living life and taking action from this other energetic state, the opposite of this limiting belief that I just wrote in my journal, if I started living in the opposite of that, what would change in my life? May surprise you. May surprise you. My world has changed dramatically in every facet of my world, my reality. This work has changed my life, and I hope it inspires you to do the same, to flip it and reverse those thoughts, to note those thoughts, those limiting beliefs, and ask yourself, is this true? And write down new beliefs in your journal that are opposite of those limiting beliefs. And also notice the simple joys and bask in more appreciation. If you want to learn more from me, check out my book, Slow Living. I'll include a link down below. And if you want to learn in more of an interactive format, I definitely recommend getting my Intuitive Living Bundle. You can get that down below in the description. When you sign up for my free meditations or any of my free creations that I've created for you down below, my workbook, my meditation files that will uplift you and expand you and help you get more clarity on your life and your soul path. When you get those things, you'll also get my emails, which are really supportive and really inspiring, filled with tips and advice and help for you on your own journey. I hope this video found you well, and I hope you have a magical day, kindred spirits, and I'll see you in the next inspiring video message.